Hello, hello. How's everyone doing? Very curious to see who is going to be here on this wonderful grand final weekend. We have 4 people. Isn't that interesting? Who's here? Let me know. Let me know. Megan, what up? Who else is here? Who else is here to actually get work done? Because they're not particularly fussed who wins tomorrow. Khaleesi, hello, hello. Clearly, Lilydale is too far from Collingwood to care. I should be watching actually because I should be interested because Brisbane Collingwood 2002 was the year I migrated. So that was the first footy final I actually watched, but never quite got into it. So haven't watched one since. But for nostalgic reasons, I should probably tune in, right? Jazz is here. Hello, 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 hello. So Jazz is packing. Is the post office open today where you are? Clint, what up? What up? Yeah, I'll get some packing off done later. Do this, get listings done, and then go get packing done after. Rachel's here. Hello, hello, hello. Let's flash your names on the screen. Doop. Megan, Khaleesi, Jazz, Clint, Rachel. Open today, close Monday for us. Got it, got it. How does the math work on Friday public holidays? Like, do we get a public holiday to view the parade? So everybody closes, doesn't make any money, so that certain people make money via the parade? Or is it a case where nobody makes money and we all incur this cost to watch an event? What's the math? How does it work? And if I'm showing how little I understand about public sporting events, then that is what it is, because I literally have never thought about it. We're headed off for a few days. Need to do a lot of scheduling today. Ooh, heading off. We're talking road trip, camping sort of deal, or we're talking fly overseas, sit on a nice cruise sort of deal. Blondie, hello, hello. Um, so it's AFL final weekend and it's Collingwood, Brisbane. So I'm guessing in Queensland they have a public holiday today as well for the parade. Is that how it works? Do the states that have the parade, do the states that are in the final get a public holiday? In which case, if majority of the states are Victorian, majority of the teams are Victorian, does Victoria get most of the public holidays? I only know there's a public holiday when eBay tells me that my next shipping date is moved. That is the reseller life though, isn't it? It's we don't know when public holidays are. We almost don't care about school holidays either. We Yeah, and we don't plan for it. I think that's the thing. Like until we see by the time we see the dates move, you've not planned anything. So um, that's probably the if I was I reckon if I was single and did not have any kids, that would be my life. There would be nothing planned for any holidays because I would not plan for it. And the only reason we have plans is because Jenny goes to work with people who do things like book leave and fight for leave like a few months in advance, sometimes 6 months in advance. And then we've also got the school parents, and so that's where that information comes from. Otherwise, yeah, we would totally not have any information if we were full-time resellers and we were single. We had King's birthday long weekend last week here in WA. Oh, why? Road trip in the motorhome. Ooh, that sounds fun. We finally bought a tent for ourselves, which I was pretty excited about. It's so I used to hate camping, and then some friends invited us to go camping. We went in the middle of winter off grid. It was one of those like YOLO moments. Let's just go do it. And I bought one of those box tents that go connect to the back of my truck. Um, and I loved it. It turns out because I'm from Malaysia, every time I've been camping, it's always humid, it's bugs, it's muddy, but it's like wet and it's like warm, squelchy, kind of gross. And turns out if you make it cold and if it's cold and there are no bugs, I'm more than happy to not shower for 4 days. So um, got into camping, and then same friend lent us a air tent, and I thought, oh, this is so cool because my biggest hesitancy going camping is having to set everything up by myself because Jen's usually working. So therefore, I'm going like the day before because we can as resellers, right? Go the day before, set it all up. She comes the next day, and then she leaves early to go back to work, and then the kids can stay a little bit longer. And so air tent, except the one they lent us had like 5 poles, and so it was really hard for one person to mount up. And so we finally bought one that was like 4 poles that can sleep 6. So yes, very excited. But tents are expensive. I didn't realize I didn't realize a tent could cost $1,000, but we did pay $1,000 and a bit for a tent. Anyone needs camping gear? Shipping a sleeping bag this week. Oh yes, yes, you have a bulk lot of things, don't you? Well, for the 13 of us who are 13, the 13 of us not named Jazz who are here, if you need shipping gear, contact Jazz. They have a Mac pack haul to liquidate. Avalon! Hello, 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 hello. I think this is about right for a Friday. I reckon we can probably start a timer. What do you think? Shall we start a timer? Get some listening done? Those of us who are actually listening. I took like 8,000 photos yesterday, so I'm really wanting to get listing done. But my hands are feeling a bit like this from holding the phone for so long. That's all we need. All right, let's go. Cool. All right, how's everyone doing? How's everyone doing? Are we getting things done? Are we getting listings done? I'm gonna finish off one more listing. I'm sitting on 19 drafts at the moment. Scheduling them over the next few days because I've got a few duplicates. Avalon's listing. Cool. Avalon, give us an update on your store, your physical store. That's what everyone's keen to know about. Sagan's editing. All right, all right. Can we get a sneak peek as to what the next video is going to be about potentially? Michelle's doing packing and customer service. Starting to turn about $100 to $150 in profit each week. Expecting it to continue to grow. Bags, dresses, books are my biggest sellers. I think the scary thing, right, about physical stores, so we on eBay, we essentially have unlimited shelf space, right? We don't have to pay for shelf space. We list, the store fees are fixed. Promoter listings also, I mean, if you don't do advanced, all your cost comes at the end when you sell. So in a sense, your only limitation is fixed cost and storage. The people who complain about eBay not giving them sales, just doing I don't know how they do it, because just doing the mental exercise of going, I can list 8,000 items and only have to care about storage, to now having to have the same storage and choose which one of my items get placed into a physical store with the certainty that it will make profit because I'm paying rent on a little space, that already causes a stress response in me. So I don't understand how smaller sellers have the audacity to throw rocks at eBay. I don't get that. I really don't get that perspective. And it further increases my respect and admiration for people like yourself, Avalon, who actually go and do that exercise and actually make money, because you haven't had that store for very long. It's only been a month or two, right? So the fact that that's the case, that's pretty amazing. I mean, I was thinking about how restaurants generally need like a 6-month, restaurants, cafes, you generally need 6-month burn, where essentially you don't make any money for 6 months. So I look at it and I go, that's what normal businesses expect to do: 3 to 6 months not making any money, assuming you do things right. And so in your case, you're obviously doing it, 4 weeks. See, so in that sense, that's even more admirable. Which is so tell us something. Do you feel like, because you have been able to go from this to this, granted you don't have 8,000 listings on eBay, you have, even if you have several hundred, to go from several hundred to pick 50, to go, I know the 10% that will sell in person, and what has that done for your confidence? Share with us. We all want to know. We all want to like stoke up this experience that you're going through, because quite frankly, most of us are too chicken to go to do that. and not even I don't think it's even chicken. I think it's like there's the chicken and not knowing the trade-off, because physical stores literally take a lot of time. You have to go there and you set up and you show me your progress. Like, you're drilling things into walls, you're choosing where this rack goes here or there. You're standing there waiting for people to come. Granted, people have come, but I can't imagine if people don't come, or a bad weather day, and you put in all that effort and that emotional. Like, if eBay is not an emotional roller coaster. And the more I compare both situations, it feels like eBay is only a roller coaster because it's so vast that people have no grasp of what their numbers mean, what's actually happening in the internet. But at the same time, because it's so vast, you're more likely to get a chunk of the pie, as opposed to standing at a market with less items for people to go for, with the weather, Yeah. Have to be very specific about what I have and how it is curated. I am very across fashion trends, generational trends, fabrics, patterns, etc. Every item in the booth is chosen for a reason. Ooh. Ooh. I can't wait to when you have the capacity to do your own social media thing, because I feel like there's a lot to learn from. There's so many variables with fashion that if you're able to comment on it in a way that is the principle of it, not so much the fashion of it, a lot of people will learn why some things have more value than other things in certain seasons. Yeah, actually on Tuesday night, Jonas asked the question. He said, "How do you guys keep across trends beyond Terapeak and Sold History and stuff?" And people were like, "Oh, I just watch TV, read magazines." But it's the appreciation of the trend and the depth of the trend. And I need to get a new chair. This chair keeps sinking. So I guess the next question is: did you know? Like, did you know? Did you know this was going to happen? Like, did you know it was? Tell us what your expectations were, and tell us how it's exceeded or not. Because you don't have to, like, you don't have. I know the natural inclinations to go, it's done better or worse, but you're allowed. I guess what I want to know is, and what I'm giving you permission to do is, if you actually knew that it was going to do this good, then tell us. We won't consider it a brag, because I think that there's, what's the word? We can't all just be humble and be like, "Oh no, I didn't expect it to go this good." If you actually did, and it happened, I think a lot of us resellers who we know when something is gonna hit, and I think we should be able to be free enough to say that in a community of resellers, rather than feel like we'll get knocked down for saying so. Because, like with the Hot Wheels store, I knew it was going to hit, because it's the same model that I've applied to the train store, to the action figure store. So it's kind of like, if you know it's going to hit, you know it's going to hit, and you have to say so. As opposed to, yeah, so I'm curious to know, did you know it was going to hit? Did you not know it was going to hit? And if so, what was the variation based on what you thought versus what you saw? I'll stop talking. I've owned a couple of retail stores, and I flirt with opening one again. The costs, though, give me anxiety, and I talk too much to be able to get my online work done as well. You're like the Italian coffee shop owner who just stands there and talks, doesn't touch the coffee, doesn't do anything. Halfway through conversation, turns around, yells at the staff for doing something, and then continues the conversation. Or that old the butcher shop person, right? It's like he's the head butcher, but he doesn't butcher anything anymore, and he's just talking. Like, the whole time, he's literally just leaning on the fridge, talking to whoever comes by. I have zero expectations and decided to do it on a whim. Huh? I really wasn't sure, as stalls near me make easily 1 to 3K a week. They do furniture though. Makes sense. I was confident in my market selling, but not booths. Okay. Wait, market selling as in you're talking flea market, like physically being there behind the stand, talking to people, kind of selling, versus a booth where you're not there, right? It is hard seeing the person next to me make 3K on one table. I mean, kudos to them, but I have to put a lot more effort in to make that level. All right. So when you say make 3K, we're talking sales or we're talking profit? Because obviously we're selling furniture, it's more expensive, right? Because it's larger, or is that a very general assumption? Profit, nice. That's cool. Well, here's a thought: if you're, especially if they're items that, like furniture is a great example because you can't go online. I mean, once you figure out someone who can do it in real life, I guess suppose as a buyer, you know that going online isn't going to deliver the same thing, especially if they're vintage secondhand stuff, right? Like if I see one of those, Scandi looking chairs in a market, my thought is, can I get it online? But if I see some Balinese type furniture thing, I'm not gonna think of going online. My brain just doesn't think that it exists online. So I suppose, doesn't that make it more likely you'll close the deal as a seller in that setting? People come to the antiques warehouse for furniture and here's, yep. Cool. So yeah, so in that sense, it's very much a so in a sense, you need to tell people you're there, right? Like, because the platform itself doesn't actually tailor to them. Uh it's like going to Etsy trying to sell something that isn't handmade, but you're trying to weasel into another market because it's tailored for a certain demographic. So much easier to buy furniture in person and people come for the furniture and then stay to buy my stuff. Yep. So then the next question is, why did you choose to go to a place where mostly furniture buyers come to, as opposed to, say, a place where vintage small goods fashion people go to? How did you arrive at choosing this market? Also, to that point about, it's hard seeing the next person make 3K in profit. To be fair, if you started and you made 3K in profit within the first per week in the first 4 weeks, wouldn't that cause you a bit of anxiety? Like, this is too good to be true. Will it continue? And also at the same time, wouldn't it kind of freak you out in the sense of, if I'm making this much profit and I have to keep this up, the sourcing pressure would be quite heavy too? Or is it a case where you already know where you're going to get it from and you can probably replenish that, like, in your head? If, let's say, that was what happened, you set up the store and it just so happened everybody there was like, when are we going to get a clothes person, when are we going to get a fashion person, and you turn up and you're like, oh my gosh, we finally had a clothes person, and you sell it every single week, can you replenish that in terms of your ability to replenish where you can get your stuff from? Simple yes or no question. I think if you are good at sales, you can perhaps sell anything. When I own a marine shop with my hubby, I had never really been boating and fishing, but outsold everyone for boats and motors. Maybe that's, look. I feel like that's the thing, right? If you enjoy selling and you understand and you enjoy seeing people turn, I think you can sell anything. Like I used to be a banker and I used to sell banking products, right? Um, and I thought I did a really good job closing. And then I met people who were even better at closing. Like, I had a financial planner who used to do this. He would ask people, he would get clients to sit down, and then they would say, "Oh, we would like to maximize the return on our super fund, whatever, whatever. We want to open a self-managed super fund, want control over our returns." And then customers would say things like, "Oh, we heard we can get these kind of returns, that kind of returns," and they give him a range. And then he would go, "Okay, so what we looking is," and he say, "Oh, maybe something like 30%, 40%." And he go, "Okay, well, in what time frame?" "Well, maybe about 5 years." And he'll tell them, "Look, let's go to the casino and you just pick a color, you know, red or black." And then they look really like crazy. Yeah, that's 50% chance. That's fantastic odds. Go. and then essentially bring them back down, and then he would turn them. And then there was another one. But what he was doing was he was anchoring, right? He was anchoring at, here's what you want, and you're closer to crazy than you are to realistic. So maybe move your marker a bit lower. And then there was another time where this same financial planner, he had a couple come in, talk about life insurance and trauma and like trauma cover and whatever. Long story short, protecting your family in case something bad happens. And the wife was leaning forward while the husband was kind of, hands folded, like, nah, I'm not interested, not me, not me. And then essentially, when he was done explaining the product, he looks at the husband and goes, "You just checking, you guys are married, right?" And then and then the guy was like, "This is absurd. Of course we're married." Like, yeah. And then he goes, "Well, when you get married, you promise that you'll protect and you'll provide and you will, do the best for your wife in sickness and in health, in life and in death. This is the death part." And then the guy, like, you could tell he was just getting a bit like, shaky, and is that whole, like, what do you say to turn? And I think what Michelle is talking about is that it's the, can you get people to turn? And at the moment you hit that point and they turn, that's the win, right? The product doesn't matter. And I think a lot of guys, especially if you're into the product, it's harder to do that because you come to the conversation with biases. It's like if you're a Collingwood fan and you have to sell stuff in a Brisbane store today, you're constantly like, yeah, I don't really want to sell Brizzy stuff because I'm a Collingwood fan. You have a bias. But if you don't have a bias, it's not surprised that you all you care about is that switch. And I think that's the part I miss about actual real life selling. It's tiring though, and we have to distinguish the two. It's really tiring to sell in person. Like, you finish doing it, you feel like you've had a game of basketball. But online is a lot easier. But we never forget that we actually miss out on that fun bit of selling in person. It's all about people. I'm an accountant by trade, but it's the same. You sell accounting skills. You just have to connect with people. Yep. The woman who opened it is well known in the auction industry, so I knew it would bring in people. It was also local, the only one of the kind in Sydney. I'm the only booth of my type. Got it. So you're a bit of a trailblazer then. Use my youth worker skills. Also, can I share my screen today like you off-rear in the evenings? You'll get a hectic view of 10 minutes of listing. Sure, done. Do it. I'll give you a link. Woohoo! Copy and change setting. And this one. And where do I put the link? This is exciting. Boom. I'll even let you be the big screen if you want to be the big screen. Hey, Matilda's here. Surprisingly quiet, Matilda. You normally bricks and mortar was draining for sure. It's $20 sales, so not a real good return on investment for the toll. All good, Avalon. Pop in when you're ready. I'll see you pop in. Smashing goals this week. Accountability partner is working for me. Nice. Who is your accountability partner? If we are allowed to know. And are they taking new customers? All right, start another timer. Great conversation. Great conversation. My gosh. I'm always surprised. You never know where these questions will go because sometimes these questions don't go anywhere and then we go back to listing. So thank you, Avalon and Michelle, for chiming in. Ooh, yes.
Hi.
Hello, Evelyn.
Hello.
This is cool because this is gonna be like last time we had Sega, we had a conversation, and this time we're gonna just do work and see how this goes. Because I've always wanted to have just two people working side by side, say nothing, see how we go until the timer rings.
Yep. Bye.
Wee. Deep her own design sweaters, default personal styling and outfit peak time. Nice. Yes, Jazz. So the whole idea of this was if you feel like you're having difficulty getting going with your listings, this section of the thing is available for you to be available, to come and be accountable and get some momentum going. Hence, at the top, when Evelyn said, "Can I go? Can I come on?" When we said yes, she said, "I'm gonna hop out of bed." So this is the hop out of bed screen. Wait, do you model your own clothes for your listings? That's so cool. I
And
feel like if I
text booth. And for
I feel like if I modeled the t-shirts that I want to sell, it would get all the dads with the dad bod because it would show them what their gut would look like on their t-shirts.
I think they'd like that.
You think so? I feel like that's a big concern because sometimes you'll buy t-shirts, from like Threadheads or something, and when it arrives, you realize it's long enough, but then there's this like Winnie the Pooh gap because your gut stretches it out. Veya's here wanting to list them back to the day job. Cool.
I
Welcome,
just
Veya.
finished my day job.
And you're straight into this.
Yep.
And then you take a nap at like 12, right? Or is it when the session's over?
Yeah. And then I nap for the rest of the day and then I start work again.
Oh, that's nuts. That's nuts. We all salute you for your never-ending motor. Jazz saying one is better than none. Matilda, I'm still at my day job. Which is this job, isn't it, Matilda? This is your day job. Or are we referring to parenting? I'm gonna start another session because I think we're all still warm to keep going.
You can kick me off if you'd like.
No, stay on. This is good. I think everybody likes having you on. It's a change from just seeing this dome predominantly.
Sewing.
That was too quick. Too quick. I still want to keep going. Oh. 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 Where we at? So there was a bunch of conversation around sewing that I have nothing to say to. All right, so this one has audio, but this one doesn't have. Wait, so one camera has audio and one doesn't. That's so weird. I would just assume
We've
that.
missed like the last 10 minutes of everything you were saying.
Oh, for real?
Yeah. Yeah. I was teaching myself how to lip read.
Ah! Oh my god. Okay. So I essentially asked if the clothing size thing, does that apply to shoes as well? Where if women are a size 8, would you assume then they're a size 36 feet, and you go hunting for shoes too of a similar kind of no?
Nah, not shoes. But I'll still look in shoes for the same brand. But yesterday, yeah, I found a really good shirt, and then so I went straight to the small in pants and found the same brand in pants.
Right. Gotcha. Anything else you want to say? Any other tips you want to
No,
share with us?
I don't think so.
That's the
That was
secret for
fun.
myself.
Oh, I can't even think of anything. You get to a point where you can tell like what's been donated by the same person in an op shop after you do it for a while, I'd say. So you like I'm like, oh yeah, the same woman donated all of this stuff. She's got a look, and then you can work it out. Yeah, everything
Do
I
you
put it in the comments before it, yeah, things that are kind of upcoming and current trends in like Y2K style, which is really popular, which is the early 2000s fashion, which I think is really ugly, but people love it. So if you find that stuff, cargo shorts are really popping off.
Hey, don't say that. I was into that. Like if I could go back to any era of fashion, it was the
Wow.
like 5 centimeters of boxer shorts followed by jeans below the crotch, cargo pants hanging like fully
Rough.
covering the like skate shoe.
Yikes.
That was
Also,
my look.
if you have a pair of ripped jeans or the crotch is ripped, just cut them into a mini skirt because everyone's buying those. So don't chuck them out. Just cut them, make it a mini skirt, and it'll sell because all the
Unreal.
girlies want those. Yes, that's my advice. Those are my tips for today. Yeah.
Well, guys, I'm gonna leave the chat. I'm gonna leave the session now. I'll leave you in Avalon's hands. She'll keep talking for the next half hour. Grab a notepad and
Yep, that's a no. I will be off to bed, finishing work at 10 a.m. this morning. I price them depending on the brand. So, like a diesel mini skirt's going to go more than a cotton on per mini skirt. So, anywhere between 10 to 50. So, I sold one for $40 at the markets, which was a vintage diesel, like it just been chopped, but mini skirt. But vintage Billabong is really popular, even just the shirts. But if you can find the jackets at the op shop, they're just flying out.
does
Yeah,
vintage Roxy do well as well?
yeah,
Because I remember that being quite hot.
yeah. Vintage Roxy, Billabong, even vintage Supre sells really well.
Interesting.
Ooh, it's not for
I
me,
know,
but
right? That's the
I'll
look.
give what the people want. Yeah, those kind of brands. Yeah, all of the kind of surfwear brands. Oh,
Cool.
thanks, Matilda. Yeah,
Cool.
stuff like that is definitely back in fashion. Like Oxfords are back in fashion, like the shoes.
Yep.
Yeah. Oh, vintage
I
belts
remember
as well. Yeah.
speaking of Oxfords, I remember there was a time when everybody wanted like a brown pair, and then you could
Thank you.
tell
I
the
want
people
one.
who were you could tell the working class from the not working class by those who matched their belts and watches to their shoes and those who didn't.
I mean,
Yep.
it's pretty in. It's pretty cute. Stuff like
Yeah.
this as well. You find it super cheap at op shops because no one's buying it, but the youths will buy it. It's what I was styling before for a customer who requested the 90s pieces. Stuff like that. All the
Interesting.
velvet. Velvet is back
Oh,
for
why
the
do I feel like that's
like.
something that someone wears like a Ren fair?
Yeah, I know. I put it on and I was like, I feel like I'm ready to do falconry. But the 16-year-olds, this is it. This is what they want.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm having
That
trouble
and then
believing that. I'm actually having trouble believing 16-year-olds wear that.
I know, right? It's a
Genuinely. Genuinely.
but it all sold at the uglier the piece, the more likely it's going to sell. Like something like that. Like just a yeah.
A question. I
Yeah.
remember back when I was a kid, like sequins was a thing with my mum. Like, are sequins back yet, or is that like one of those really long cycles that will never come back?
I don't think I've seen any sequins unless it's a full sequin. The Taylor Swift concert is coming up. Like
Yep.
not soon, but it's coming up, which was huge. Agree, Paul. And so everyone's looking for a sequined, a Diamantes metallic piece. So chuck the word Taylor Swift in your listing or in the description because everyone's trying to find a one-off outfit. So they don't want something basic. So if you've got some really weird sequin thing, yeah, everyone's looking for their outfit. and
Wow.
all sizes. So anything like sequined, like a big kind of tulle skirt. Yeah, something really funky shoes as well, and accessories. Yeah,
Got
sell
it.
that,
Got it.
everyone. Yes, I speak to the youths. I speak to the childrens.
Hold up. Hold on. I'm gonna do this. Tips with Ev. I'm gonna make this a segment better.
Crochet, the old crochet is back. I sell lots of crochet tops.
Oh yeah. I believe that.
Yep. People buy it for like $50, $60. I got it for like $2 at the op shop because people don't think it sells. Millennials be cray cray, it's true. Well, Gen Z. Yes.
I need a curvy friendly plus size sequin number for myself or Taylor. Make one. Make one.
Matilda can
Or
make it for you.
commission Matilda to make one. Matilda, you there? You there? You taking orders?
What else do I have? Super random, but absolute bolo. If anyone finds the elk pixel dress, you've got 300 right there.
What?
Just look for that print. This one.
That is cool though. That is a good looking.
It's pretty epic. I sold it
Okay.
within like 10 minutes yesterday. Anyway.
Question.
Yeah.
Is that meant to fit? Is that one of those brands that is meant to fit like a particular height and size, or because I remember, you'd see
No, they're
old
pretty
women
good.
wearing really
Yeah, that's
it's like
done.
that there's some brands that have a particular model person like size and everything in mind. Is that one of those where it's like you must be at least 6 feet tall and a size 6 or whatever before it looks great, otherwise it looks wrong?
I think, look, now it's fashion tips with Avalon. I think there's a different, like the tent look is in, which is
Okay.
the kind of oversized linen look, but there's a difference between like a tent and then really looking like a tent. So this one's like a large to extra large, but that'll look gorgeous on someone. And yeah, it sold yesterday within about 20 minutes for 250. So definitely.
Wow.
The shift dress is back in. Buy a shift dress. Skater skirts also back in, which is scary. Something like that. Very popular. Like a little.
Oh yeah.
So I have market stock, which is different to the booth because the children's aren't coming to my booth. So I sell all this type of stuff at the markets.
Okay, so what's the schedule like for you? Like you work and then you do eBay and then you do markets as well?
So I'm at uni full time as well.
Yes.
So I started work at 5 p.m. last night and finished at 8:30 a.m. this morning. There was a critical incident, so I didn't sleep. So I got to live like a couple of hours, and then I come home, and then I have my morning nap, and then do some eBay. I try and take all my photos because then when I'm on shift just before bed, I can list. And then university during the day after my nap. Towards the end of my final part of the degree. So do all my neuroscience, beep, 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 beep. And then I only do markets once every 3 months or so because they're, as you said, like it's a trek, such a trek. But it's a good boost. Like it's nice, 1,000, 2,000 for a day's work. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's impressive.
It's pretty good. eBay, eBay's paying for my degree. I've had chats with John about this. It paid for my diploma, and now the goal is to pay for my undergraduate bachelor.
It's gonna be an interesting crossroad when you finally get to do what you studied full time. And I really just purely for science, and the way this head works after our chats, right? Purely for science, I hope you're at $250,000 in revenue by the time that happens, so that it's a real tension point of like, but I've studied so much.
I know. I've done too much. I know too much about the brain. So
Yes.
I've got to put that to use. But yeah, in my sector, it's pretty helpful already.
I mean, you could apply it and coach people to become like super performing resellers. I reckon there's a lot of mind stuff that happens with our with reselling.
Totally.
Like we were literally we had Champs on the other day. We're just talking. We literally just talked sunk cost bias because he was like, "But I've done so much." I'm like, "Yeah, I know."
Yeah, basically. Also, so true, Jake. So I was not born. I wasn't alive for the 2000 Olympics. That's how young I am. Didn't see Kathy Freeman run because I was in the womb. And yeah, point and shoot cameras. I mean, even I'd buy those.
Yeah, I tried to explain that to my son, and he just had a bit of a stress response. And he's 7, right? And I said to him, you had a designated person taking photos because everyone else was crap at it. And he was like, "What?" I'm like, "Yeah, you had how many? Remind me, I forget now. Paul, you probably know this number. How many shots could you get out of a single like roll of film?" Because he asked me what the number was, and I didn't remember what that number was. Was it like 80 shots? Was it a roll of film, or was it like 60 shots? But the thought of like there being a finite number, and then once that was done, it was done. And if you did a crappy
So
job,
weird.
everyone would hate you. Like everyone would hate you 6 months later when you finally got around to getting them produced, and then you show it to everybody and be like, "Dude, your hand was in the way." And then everyone would have no memory of that birthday party because the one photographer was crap at it. 24 or 36, lower than I remember. Wow.
Shops. Sorry, I don't know
Early
your actual
2000s.
name, but yeah, it's true. We spend like months advocating for our 14-year-olds who need their diagnosis, and that's a trek, let alone being an adult trying to get that. Wildly understaffed. We are overworked, underpaid, and understaffed. Such is life. Yay to Chris and his $10,000 he raised for Backpack for Kids. That was really awesome. Because we are the
That was a
recipients
fantastic
and
effort.
stuff like that.
At the start, it was like, "Can we get there?" And then towards the middle, he was like, "Oh my gosh, we're gonna get there." And then to the end, it's like, "We got there."
It's very exciting.
Yes. Hope it's gonna be an
Yeah.
annual thing. I think it's gonna be an annual thing. We'll see.
Yeah, we really rely on stuff like that because we don't get funding for things like suitcases or backpacks, and we don't have the money for it. So yeah, please donate. We rely on it.
Camera talk.
Oh, I specialize in trauma neuroscience, which is an awesome field.
What is trauma neuroscience?
So it's looking at my interests lie in early exposure to childhood trauma and the way that changes the structure and function of the brain, and early interventions to reduce those structural changes.
So is this like abuse?
Anything, yeah. Abuse, neglect, witnessing violence, like neonatal stress. So if a mother's been exposed to violence, the way that affects brain development in the womb.
Right.
Yeah.
That sounds like the kind of topic that students either feel strongly for or steer away from.
Yeah. You
Yeah.
either go like full balls on it or you're like, nah, not for me. But yeah, it's a great growing field.
That's
And then
super
I sell
inspirational,
dresses on
man.
the
Like
side.
you have okay. Evelyn. This is because I am not a scientist, right? Neither am I a social worker. But I am a businessman, and I feel like you should be writing a book of some sort throughout this process. You've heard me say this, and I know capacity is an issue. Like turn on the camera and just speak your thoughts out loud. And in 20 years, right, when you finally find time to drink a warm cup of tea,
Oof,
and you'll have enough funding to pay somebody to,
make that for me.
there you go. There you go.
Yeah.
Because I
I
mean,
think
you're
it's
not
quite an
bored.
interesting ride.
Yeah, and just turn up on all of our live streams and keep talking and talking and talking and talking, and then obviously bits and bits will evolve, and then eventually you'll be like, "I have the book. Where's all the media?
Yeah.
Here you go. It's all
Basically.
here." Yeah.
Yeah, it all rolls into one, which is fun. I do like having eBay on the side. Yeah, because in our work, if we have like last night, because we had a critical incident, I'm off for my next shift, which is fine, but it obviously means I don't make the money from that shift. So it's nice to have eBay to cover critical incidents, which is great.
Dope. Well, we should probably let you go sleep. I think.
I was alive at the end of 2000, so it's not too bad, but it's disturbing when I work with clients who are who are 13 and were born in like 2009, 2010. That's not okay. You're basically 4 at that point, like, convince me otherwise. It's wrong. But
All right,
yes, I
guys.
am ready for bed. That's all I have
We
to
should
say.
let everyone go to sleep. And I think this was
Yep.
very, very
I hope
valuable.
that was interesting.
Yes.
Buy the Billabong and the Roxy. That's my advice.
And by the way, if any of you guys wanna hop on just to get work done, this is literally what it's for, and this is literally what I had in
Much
mind.
work. I was like, "Oh my god, people are watching me. I have to keep going. No
Yes,
time to pee."
hop on, get work done, and then eventually you just get comfortable like me and just work, and people think that you're a robot when you're not. You're just working. Yeah.
Just grinding. All right. Bye, everyone. Time to sleep.
Take care. Sleep well. We love you.
Bye. 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 Bye.
That was cool. So Sagan cut the ribbon to be on the stream, and Ev's our second person. Who will be the third? Anyone? 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 What time is it now? 12:30. We've got another hour and a half. Start at 30 minutes. I'm good to go if you guys are. I took like 8,000 photos yesterday, so I need closure. I need to make these into drafts. How many have I done? I've done 52 so far. Oh, apologies. What up? He's making an
Hello.
appearance. Finally,
There I am.
he exists.
I'm real. Sorry, just closing windows.
Lovely to see you. For everybody else, right? This is actually the first time I'm actually talking to Paul in the flesh as well. So this is exciting for me because we chat a lot. And
Yeah, normally I'm using my phone to take photos, so I don't jump on.
forgive me if I stare at you a bit awkwardly, as you do in first dates.
Who's paying?
That's right. we will decide that at the end if we deem it worthwhile or not.
No pressure.
So tell us about what's your setting. Where are you at? Like, I see bookshelves. I see a bunch of frames. Like
So
a
when I
study
built
living.
this, when I built this house, this used to be a pool room with a pool table.
Yep.
Which sound awesome. 30-year-old Paul thought that having a pool table in a house would be the most amazing thing, and it turned out it's just completely impractical, and that we hardly ever played, and the kids were young, and I was scared that they'd ruin the pool table. So that very quickly, within years, the pool table went away. So we ended up with just this spare room that got filled with books and bookshelves, and it's full of my eBay junk most of the time.
Yep.
So it's not the pool room; it's the cool room.
It's the den. Is it like an underground kind of space as well?
No, it's ground level. It's right near the front of when we first walk into the house. So it's just a off to the side room that's very close to the front door where I can dump my stuff when I walk in.
Yep. Yeah, we had a pool table as well when we first got the place, and you're right. You get paranoid about the felt. You don't want to put things on it. You're constantly trying to get the dust off it.
Yeah.
You're paranoid when people come to play who don't know how to play, and then the balls leave the table. It's just a stressful thing to have in the house, I feel.
Yeah, and then when you have guests over and they have their kids, and it's always pretty awkward. Yeah. So no, I don't miss it, and I wouldn't do it again. I think it's like having like a swimming pool. It's one of those things that you think you want, but most of the time, once you have it, you don't really want that.
So what brings you on? What message do you have for the community?
I don't have anything to say. I just thought I'd come on and say g'day and prove that I'm real. Everyone else is doing face reveals, so there you go.
This is dope. Are you listing or testing today?
Today I'm just doing maintenance. I've got a bunch of eBay Plus listings that I'm taking free shipping off.
What are your thoughts on actually you'll be the one to ask about this. What are your thoughts on the recent wave of contractual promotions that we've been getting in our inboxes?
So the ones where you contribute like 10% and eBay does 5% or something like that.
Yeah.
I think if lots of people promote at about 10% anyway, or make offers at 10% or more, so I think it's not a terrible idea. I wouldn't stack it with existing discounts. So you've got to unfortunately do the whole price jacking thing and put your prices back where they were, I think, before you well in advance of entering into those things.
Yep.
Unless you've just got amazing margins, and it doesn't matter. I mean, if you're buying, stuff for less than $1 and you're selling it for 20 or 30, it doesn't. Who cares about 10%? But otherwise, I think it does matter. It's not something I haven't done one of those before myself. I just think it's too much margin.
Yeah, because I've been trying to understand what eBay wants to do. Because as with all things, right? When you think about taxing and you think about incentives, there's always a behavior that the platform wants to encourage sellers to try. And I've been trying to figure out why the pushback and what's eBay trying to get us to do. And I think maybe there isn't as much of an uptake on promotional tools, and maybe that's one of their ways of going, try to use the tool and just assess its effects. Like, I don't think eBay, people are going about it thinking it's meant to help my business, but I don't think that's eBay's intention at all. I think eBay just wants you to try it, and then if you screw up and you lose money, you've learned something about the tool, and then they're happy with that outcome as well.
Yeah.
And then whether
Yeah,
you decide to
I feel like from eBay's point of view, it's a lot of it's to do with just pushing eBay Plus, really promoting Plus. The difference between it's 10% if you're not and 12% if you are, and I think that's their promotional opportunity to get people to go and sign up to eBay Plus and then forget they've signed up and just keep paying every month.
Yeah. The eBay, I still feel like the eBay Plus commitment is not something a lot of sellers can do. And I think to an extent, because we're also diverse as well, it's very hard for everyone to follow the advice. You know what I mean? Like, we all want to jump on a trend. We go on Facebook and we see people say, yeah, it's working for me, but then there's no context whatsoever. And then someone will go, I'm very scared of people who look for 5 yeses and then they go do something without any context. It's like 5 yeses with 5 different situations, but they just take that and go, yep, okay, I'll do it. And after it doesn't work, and then
as a seller, I think having a subscription is definitely worth it. You make more back in the savings on those couple of 50% shipping coupons. So if you sign up, it's $49 a year, and each month for being a subscriber and a seller, eBay gives you is it $5.30 shipping vouchers basically to use. So that more than pays for having it. Plus the $5 voucher you get to spend a month. So if you're buying materials off eBay, packing stuff, you pay for it many times over by being a customer. In terms of being a seller on eBay Plus, I think it is beneficial depending on the category that you're in, because being a subscriber, I think you get 2 vouchers a month. You get your $5 one that you can just spend on, I think it has to be over $9.90 to be able to spend that $5 voucher. And you've got another one that's for eBay Plus items only that has to be, I think it's over $49, around that anyway, around $49 I think you have to spend it on. So each month you do have a lot of people that are looking for eBay Plus only listings over $50 just to spend that $5 on. And especially if it's something they're regularly buying. So if they're another seller or a business that wants to buy their bubble wrap or something like that, they will go to a fair bit of trouble to get, to wring that last bit of value out and spend that $5 voucher. I've found I actually have difficulty spending it because a lot of the things I want just aren't eBay Plus eligible. Because it's complicated. You have to, offering that free shipping is a pretty big commitment, I think. Even though you get that bit of exposure. So I've always done about half and half, and I'm kind of leaning a little bit away from it at the moment, I think. From leaning more towards paid shipping.
Because of a margin point of view, or just from a fulfillment, the same business day point of view?
I don't mind doing, I actually do same day shipping. Because I was doing 1 day shipping, and I think anyone that does 1 day can do same day. Because you just need to set your cutoff at, say, 9 in the morning. And if the order comes in after 9, it's not really same day. It's next day anyway. So that's my tip. If you're doing 1 day, you really can do 0 day. So you might get a little extra bump from that. So I was always doing 1 day anyway. I made that commitment. My post office is only a few kilometers away. It's right near a supermarket. I said, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to do it every day. That's just my schedule. Sort out my kid. So my kid does remote learning. So when he finishes school at 3, we pack him up every day and we go and do our post office run and maybe past an op shop or any other little things we got around town and just get that done. The free shipping for me was okay because you just price that in. That's fair enough. But what I didn't like was on the odd occasion where there was a return that I had to eat that shipping. And I had several thousand iPhone cases that I was selling, and all brand new items, but occasionally someone would just buy the wrong one and they'd get it and they'd go, oh, oops, I was buying this for my boss or for my wife or whatever. And I bought this for a Pro and they've got a Pro Max. So there's no way it's going to So they hit return, and I'd fund, it'd be an $80 case or something. So I'm funding that both ways, and that's what kind of made me think, I'm kind of tired of that. I think I'll take that off. So I've been over time removing it, and it hasn't at all hurt my sales at all. I mean, anecdotally, maybe they're a little bit better. Even I don't know if that's crazy talk, but it hasn't harmed me for sure.
I feel like but it comes back down to that principle, right? People talk about hacks all the time. They say if eBay does something, you should do it, otherwise you lose sales. But fundamentally, it comes down to that ratio of how many are doing that plus and how many are not. And if you're competing in that plus heavy category and you don't do plus, then of course you're going to suffer. But it's nothing to do with eBay pushing it. It's the fact that you're just not doing what everyone else is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Michelle asked a question there.
Yes.
Do you mind if I
was going to ask you to respond to that.
What road led you to selling on eBay? So I've always sold on eBay. And I sold on a site called sold.com.au years back when eBay was just an American site. So you could filter. It had a filter for Australia. So if you're from Australia, you clicked Australian, it showed you Australian stuff. But there wasn't really a proper Australian eBay site. That came a bit later on. So sold.com.au was the popular Australian one, and it was more auction format, as was the fashion at the time. And it was actually really good that when you had an auction run, if somebody bid in the last 5 minutes, it would actually extend the auction out. So you didn't have sniping. That I really liked. So it meant it was like a house auction, right? Like there's no timer at a house auction, and whoever gets the bid in at the last second wins. It just keeps going until people have reached their limits, and that's how it worked.
Yeah.
But eBay Australianized, and I guess they just killed all the competition, and sold.com.au disappeared, and eBay became the main competitor. So I used to use it, like working in the tech industry. I always had just little bits of computers that were left over and and household things that I sold. So I was on eBay pretty much forever, just casually. Before I even knew what a reseller was or that people made a living out of it. It was just back when eBay was just the stuff that people had laying around that they wanted to get rid of, before there was any new product, before there was any such thing as Chinese sellers or over. I don't even think that you could see overseas sellers on the Australian site. And I guess I really stepped it up years later when I started collecting video games. I like video games, and I wanted to get into having more of them. So what I was doing is buying the big lots, and I was getting lots of duplicates left over. And I don't think Facebook Marketplace was really a thing at the time. That hadn't come out yet. And I was thinking I just needed a way to get rid of these things. So I went back to eBay just to get rid of stuff as that method. And then in my own businesses, I owned a couple of tech businesses. I started getting those online and pushing online sales, because when we started doing retail in those, retail is really expensive, to hire staff. And you can't just have one staff. You've got to have two of everything, because if someone calls in sick or away, and sometimes even two is not enough, because people get sick at the same time with the same things, and they have holidays and commitments and so forth. So I really started pushing the online aspect to be able to just sell a product without anyone having to walk in the store, without needing someone to help them or handhold them or answer any questions or demonstrate or anything. It was just amazing that someone would buy something and the money would come through, and there'd just be an order that you had to ship. And I thought, this is it. Like, this is bricks and mortar, not good. This stuff's great. So I started really pushing our store and built some integrations into eBay so that we could, we had our inventory control in our own systems, and just sync that over to eBay so that, we didn't get caught with stuff out of stock. And we did that for years. I had only 20 items on eBay that were our biggest selling. So things, like the big brands like the Griffin Survivors and the Honor Boxes for iPads and iPhones. And I just had those 20 for a couple of years, and we did quite well.
And you would have had them at wholesale margins as well, wouldn't you? Because you would have bought them wholesale as a...
We were buying them wholesale and obviously paying GST and taxes out of it. So we were making less than $10 a case to be competitive, and we weren't the cheapest. But I think having that genuine, that retail name and a logo and a legitimate sounding organisation and good photos that we were taking.
Yeah.
Because I still now, even with OtterBox, get people message me first saying, "Is this genuine?" And I didn't even know that there were counterfeit OtterBox cases out there, but that's apparently a thing. So a lot of people are concerned about that. So they were buying from what was obviously a bricks and mortar store that happened to be online. People would pay a little bit more. Some people would pay a little bit more to buy those. So they did shift okay. And then after I've sold the businesses, obviously I'm sitting around, what do I do? I'm like, oh, I'll have a play with eBay. So I spend about, I would say, a day a week overall, which is in reseller land, a day a week's, what's that, about 20 hours on eBay. And I do Etsy and other marketplaces as well. But I think eBay, even though in volume I do more on Etsy, I think I like eBay more.
Cool.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing.
I don't, long-winded. I hope that answered the question.
I think that's what people want. People don't want the short answer. We don't want the resume dot points. We want the what happened and why and how. Yeah. I don't think I've even heard this version. I've heard some version of this version, but not this long version. So I'm taking it all in too. Yeah.
Yeah, I think if I hadn't gotten out of the businesses, that we would have done even more eBay. I mean, we had to keep doing retail because we were doing Apple repairs. So I really needed staff anyway to be able to accept the repair and check them in. So we had about 80 square meters of retail space that we just had. So we might as well use that. So we filled it up full of, iPhone and iPad accessories and Apple stuff. And so there was no way we weren't going to do bricks and mortar, I think. But in terms of a strategy, it didn't make a lot of sense, I think. Like someone now that wanted to open up a retail store and sell phone accessories at 10 or 20% margin would just be insane to just, to do that as the main line of business.
Yeah, I notice a lot of it is like service is really the repair side of things, inflated labor, people don't know what to do.
Well, on a new iPhone, our margins on new iPhones were between 2.5 and 4% on iPhones, which is pretty brutal if someone walks in and spends 20 minutes talking about an iPhone, which one they should get, and then like, oh, cool, thanks, I'll have to talk to my wife, and you're like, yeah, okay, you're going straight over to JB Hi-Fi to do a interest-free payment plan or something.
It's nuts. It's nuts.
So you couldn't strategize around it. Like we would just have we would have some, try and have one of each. But there's so many models of iPhone. I don't know what it is, but like when the Gen 9 iPad came out, there were 48 variations with the different sizes, different colors, whether it's Wi-Fi or cellular. If you multiply all those together, there were 48, and there were some models were $1,500 each. So you're talking $80,000 just to have one of each. And if you had one each of each iPhone, I think it was around 700,000 in inventory you need to make, on average, 3%, 4% maybe out of that. So you can't. It's not just, it can't be done.
You're making me tense.
Even Macs, like an iMac. If you walk in somewhere, like even JB Hi-Fi, and you walk in and buy an iMac and it's not on sale, they're making 9.5%. on a brand new iMac. So when they're doing 10% off, 100%, I'm 100% certain they're losing a little bit. They're losing 0.5%.
Okay, so talk me through this, right? Like most people when they start their businesses, aren't they running overdrafts with about 10-15% interest anyways? So where's the profit?
On that kind of business, they couldn't be. It's they've got to be doing services. If you're doing some sort of retail business selling tech, you've got to be doing services or selling something else. So if you're JB Hi-Fi selling Apple, they're not making anything out of Apple.
It's on everything else.
They might make it's a bit on the accessories and cases, and if they sell an Apple Care warranty, there's pretty good margins on Apple Care. Although Apple are really pushing away from that now. You buy the device and you sign up with Apple Care on the device now, which has pulled that away from retail as well. So JB Hi-Fi's margins, if you look at their financial reports, are still, I think, over 30%. They're about 33%, and it's mostly televisions. So when you go to JB Hi-Fi and you buy a TV, it's almost never a great deal. That's why they price matching, and because they've the margins are enormous.
Makes sense.
Yeah, and I think media is small too. I don't think they make much on DVDs and Blu-rays. We signed up with a number of distributors that distribute DVDs, Blu-rays, and video games, and there's hardly anything in it. Like if you were going to buy a Switch game from EB Games, it's about $6 in that as well. So when you see JB Hi-Fi selling a brand new Switch game, you know, it might be a retail 69 and they're selling it for 58. They're either making nothing or $1 out of that. They're just lost leaders to get you to come in and look at TVs, I think.
That's crazy. Because it's funny, right? We try and describe what we do, especially when we're selling secondhand things. Like you try and explain, a lot of us resellers, when we start doing this, and we try and describe the path to 100K in salary to family members who have all considered doing a business at one point. And then, you know, the main response we get back usually it's, well, I have this friend that started a cafe, or this friend that started a retail shop, whatever, and they could barely make 40 grand, da, 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 da. But then we go, wait, but they didn't buy items at $1 and sold it for 20 or 10, you know. They bought items at 10 and sold it at 15. And then they don't understand, and then they look at it and they go, the first thing they focus on is, so you're telling me that an extra $5 in profit will be the difference? I say, well, it's not just that, it's the fact that it's the cash hold on $1 per item instead of $10 per item. And I think that there's definitely a learning curve, right, of appreciation. And then even after you do it for a few months, if you're able to pay your bills and pay for school fees and whatever, all the people who are still kind of waiting to see if you make it, they still don't get it. But the math is actually very simple. But I think there's something about that secondhand and new. It's a really solid mental barrier. It's almost like a lead barrier that people don't quite get. Either they're on this side or that side. You know what I mean?
Yeah, cafes. It's an interesting one because we've got a lot of those that seemingly open up where I live. I don't know. Maybe that's the same everywhere in Australia. But it seems like every week there's another cafe.
Melbourne's the same. New cafe.
Drive-through cafes. Drive-through cafes seem to be the cool thing at the moment. They're popping up everywhere. And they're the scariest thing in the world. Like I know lots of people have a dream of opening a cafe and they have this romantic idea of what it's going to be like. But man, I just feel sorry every time I hear one opening because I think straight away I'm thinking, how long have they got? Because there's no regulation on competition. Like 2 more can just open up down the street from you, and they probably will at the rate. And they're just constantly opening and closing, and it's so hard to differentiate. You know, unless you're doing like the most amazing food and have the most incredible atmosphere. I feel like the chance of survival is just so small. But people just keep seemingly following that dream and opening new cafes all the time.
We have one around here, right? It's like one of those motorhome type things where it's like a trailer with a box, and it's like he pulls it around and he parks in a car park where, I remember. Sorry, during COVID, there were the family members were messaging on the various notice boards on Facebook, going, "Please support our cafe, please support us," and everyone was going, "We don't notice it. Where is it?" And turns out he picked the side of the road. So it's like the car park's on the side of the road where you go over a hill. So literally, as you come down the hill, you see it, but it's so close to the hill turn that you can't signal to go. So it's like, unless you know it's there and you intend to go there, it's too late to decide to go there once you see it.
Yeah.
And it's just like they don't. And then they were defending the spot, and they were saying, "Oh, because this is the only spot we can get." And we were like, "Wait, there's so many other spots. Why this spot?" And they couldn't justify the spot. And it was weird because it was during COVID where everyone was trying to be supportive, and people were just more on social media and stuff. And I just think about even that simple decision. The only friend I know who did well with coffee cart type businesses he was like, either as a train station on the platform or no deal. And I went, "What do you mean?" He goes, if they allow me to go on the platform, then I've got no competition. But if I'm outside the platform, plenty of competition because people can just park in the car park and set up. But if I have the spot on there, the next person who wants that spot, they'll know that there's not enough space. And I went, that's really clever. So he managed to negotiate. So he was like, I'm willing to drive a longer distance between 3 different. He ended up getting 3 train stations with the single card, and there being 2 cards. Then hired somebody, but that was the only way he knew he could scale. He was like, I need to lock up something, otherwise, to your point, there's no regulation. Otherwise, I need to essentially convince them that it's worked in one, then another, and then they go, oh, is it a safety thing? Nope, because this station we've got this much space. And then he also realized most train platforms were pretty standard as far as design was concerned. So if he can convince them that this space is safe and this station is fine with it, then that council will be fine with it too, and so on. So that was the only situation where I was like, that's really clever. But everyone else that started a cafe or a coffee something or other, yeah, you get scared for them because you do wonder, is it 6 months? Is it once the weather gets cold?
And even if they do everything right, there's still no guarantees. That's the case in any business, but there's nothing, as I say, there's nothing to stop 2 or 3 others opening up right down the street from you, and all you've done is there's like the same amount of coffee is going to get sold. It's just that you need to share it amongst more vendors now, and it's just so dangerous. It's just crazy. As opposed to something like, it's because the overheads are enormous and they don't go away. You've got your staff costs and your rent and all your other liabilities that they don't go away, but your income can, for sure. Particularly like things like COVID. Nobody expected that.
In terms
of,
why. Oh, sorry.
Sorry, I was just going to say, like, as opposed to online selling on eBay and other marketplaces, I see, and you've mentioned it many times too, people complaining about paying 13 or 15% fees. And anyone that's been in retail will just laugh at that. Like, it's crazy. The idea that you can be at home, have no rent, minimal impact probably to your insurance, don't need a bunch of employees, and all you need to do is pay 13 or 15% and shift your stuff, and you barely even need to talk to anyone. It's amazing. Guys, it's just amazing. This is the future.
It's amazing. So amazing. Speaking of the future, we talk about cafes and choosing where you place your stuff in whatever, right? Regulation. What are your thoughts on that AI thing where they will choose the title for you? I remember, because I like, similar to choosing your placement, I like to use, people use your titles to choose where you rank in search, right? So if you want to color hack, you could select different colors to put in there. So people who are searching by color end up in that search versus the actual item versus did you choose your wording in your title to choose which search your item shows up in? I don't like the AI thing coming in whereby it's going to standardize it all, because already we have this issue with promoted listings where, we're saying if I show up in a crowded search, I need to promote. And even if I promote, my listing doesn't get seen. So therefore, I want to show up in a less crowded search. But essentially, if they're trying to make it one standardized search, then what does the future look like for us? What are your thoughts?
I'm a little bit surprised eBay have gone that route, because I really thought, and stay with me for a second, but I really thought they would get rid of descriptions with the push towards product specifics. It kind of makes it a little bit irrelevant as long as you've filled in all the fields, and as long as they make it mandatory to fill in some of those fields, it's there for you. Like if you scan a UPC for a DVD and list it, I get that it's an opportunity to stand out against somebody else, but you're selling the same DVD as someone else. Why can't they just build a title that says, whatever it is, The Matrix, whatever year The Matrix was, however many minutes long, its rating, includes case, whatever, and just do that dynamically. But if you're browsing Amazon, for example, it's a bit more like Amazon's different because it has that buy button and everything stacks on top, so you have one listing. And I kind of thought eBay was going to go more towards that. With the product specifics, that you might, if you search for a DVD, it just comes up with the DVD and you click on it, and then it shows you all the options you've got to buy it. So they might abolish the item description altogether. So I'm probably a little bit surprised they've gone this route, which kind of indicates maybe they're not thinking of that, but they're okay with you searching for a DVD and it coming up with 200 of them. And the skeptical part of me wonders if they want to keep all those listings coming up, because then they get to keep kind of making their revenue from promoted listings. And they don't want it, because Amazon doesn't have to worry so much about promoted listings. as such, because you're just getting the one hit when you search. So that's at the back of my mind, is that they're making a lot of money not only from the end users buying, but also from the sellers selling from the fees. So they want that priority system in place still.
Yeah.
In terms of whether AI is going to be good for constructing the title, I think it might do a better job than your average lister, because just browsing through when I do comps, there are some terrible listings, right? I'm sure you're in that situation too, where you see them and you just feel like, guy, what are you doing?
Guy or girl, guy or girl
yeah,
or bot, what are you doing?
Yeah, and that's it. And it's like, I think you had that discussion, might have been with Matilda, where the conversation happened about whether do you reach out and help them, or do you?
Oh
do you
yeah, that
smash
was on
them?
last Friday. Yeah, last Friday's thing.
Yeah.
Do you reach out and help someone if they have a crappy listing, or do you let them be because it's a competitive edge and you could potentially
Yeah.
buy something for cheap to resell at a proper margin if you do it right?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, so I don't know. I'll be interested to see what it's like. I've been on a few live streams with people that already have that feature turned on, and it seems very divided. Some people like it. Those that don't like it seem to be the ones that haven't tried it, or that are scared of it and don't want to give it a go. But it's also got its advocates too that are saying it's pretty good. So my understanding is that it can be the title and the description.
Like I'm okay. I'm okay for it to save me time. Like I'm okay for the auto populating. I'm not okay for fixing mistakes, but I'm also not okay with it taking away my competitive edge, if that makes sense. Because I think it's like if you make a living, it's one thing to source product. It's another thing to be able to sell the product. And I suppose if you trim away all those different things, eventually it just comes down to sourcing, right? And then once you take the sourcing part away, then it's because you've also got, with Marketplace, you've got like photograph recognition. That's the thing that they do really well. So I suppose once eBay kind of implements something similar to that, then it's like, well, we can people can source pretty quickly. Then these wonderful margins that we get, we probably won't get ongoing. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. Like I quite like the fact that because we talk about the working less, making more, the better we understand our product, better we position our product. And I don't like the fact that you've got AI taking away that that positioning skill set.
Yeah, it's certainly, if you're good at doing listings, it's scary because it erodes some of the gap between being good at it and people that aren't good at it.
Yes.
And from eBay's point of view, obviously they'd like as many listings as possible to be really appealing. But as an individual seller, you want your own stuff to shine over everyone else's. So I guess that's
okay.
pretty
So
concerning.
let's just say eBay makes it so easy that they quadruple the number of listings on the site, right? The prices drop. They don't. I don't think the math really works in their favor to the extent that they think it does. You know what I mean? Yeah. So that's another thing that would be interesting to see. And I feel like it's one of those things that they will do, realize, potentially revert back. But then at the same time, it's a case of how many sellers do sellers then just prepare for that dive and then survive it, so to speak. Because they're gonna do it anyways. It's like COVID vaccines, right? They're gonna do it anyways. And then if it works, great. If it doesn't, then whoops.
Yeah, and it's unclear to me. It's unclear to me, are they just kind of jumping on the AI bandwagon and they feel like they need to do something almost as a promotional thing to make it sound cool and maybe to bring people back to eBay. So I don't know if there's that element or if they just they could just be trying stuff just to see what sticks, and it could be a failure and people don't want it and they turn it off and nobody uses it. It's just one of those things we talk about in a few years as a dumb idea.
I hope it's gonna be. I seriously hope it falls under the category of, that magic touch-up tool that they've got that most people don't use, because it's horrible. It makes the photo, if you have a soft-looking photo, it just looks harsh. And then the background photo, the background removing thing isn't that great either. So I'm hoping that it just kind of ends up in that pile. And
I don't think I'd be saying anything controversial if I said eBay doesn't normally seem to be full of great, innovative ideas. They regularly half-ass things that they do, and they're not. It's not a technologically amazing platform. They're really pretty far behind on technology, which does not mean to say that they can't have hired a great team of people to implement this, and and it'll be great. But they haven't got a fine history of doing that. So I'm excited to see how it works, and I'm hopeful that it'll be great. But mainly, I've just got the popcorn out. I just want to see what happens. There's enough anarchist in me that I don't know. I kind of hope things burst into flames, and it's just really entertaining.
Chaos.
Yeah.
Like I feel okay. So I like eBay because of the fact that we learn a lot. Like we really learn skills. There are so many side hustles that people can do as a way to kind of recover from, I guess, let's call it job trauma, right? You work for a long period of time, you get a bit disenfranchised with the whole employment thing, you become your own boss, and I think that there are businesses that don't help you recover, don't teach you new skills, and you just end up working yourself to the ground. And then there are businesses like eBay where you actually get some time back for yourself, you can learn at your own pace, you can stack on your progress. And I think that as long as eBay remains clunky the way it is, there is that opportunity to cover that shortfall with your own learning and your own skill set, whether it be better titles, better photographs, better pricing, you get the idea, right? Better descriptions. Once they take that all away, it ends up just being a plug and play. And I feel like from a plug and play point of view, then it just becomes you need to do more work, more grinding to get more listings done, more items sourced, in which case at a much lower margin as well. Then it just becomes like any other, soul-sucking side hustle, which I don't like. Yeah. So from the community's well-being point of view, I think the clunkiness is a good thing.
Yeah, that's right. And what's more satisfying too than that listing that you post it and you're like, I took really great photos. I mean, that's satisfying, right? like I bought a bunch of Monster High dolls, which I've never done before, but I'm acutely aware that they're valuable, reasonably valuable. Like they're not worth nothing. And my daughter's got a whole bunch of them that she had when she was little. And I was at an op shop and there was a bunch of them. And I'm like, yeah, they cost nearly nothing. I'll get a bunch of these and just give it a go. And I photographed one night and put it online and took my time with the photos. And I don't go crazy with my photography, but I've got a reasonably good photo booth. And I used to do portrait photography for fun. So I thought, these little dolls, they're just like people, right? But they don't move. And I can pose them exactly where I want. So I did one of those and put it online, and it sold in 2 hours.
Yep.
And I was like, I really had fun doing that. I like taking the pictures and doing it and having them look good and having a great looking listing.
Were you like me that the first time you discovered that this is one of the few dolls that can do this?
Yeah, and I'm like, how do I photograph this? Because they're tall. If you don't know what they are, they're tall and lanky and not at all proportioned like a real person.
You pull their limbs apart and everything. It's like fully articulated. Yeah.
Yeah, and they bend all sorts of weird directions, and they're not shaped like a real human at all. But they're hard to photograph because they're long and thin.
Yes.
And I didn't want to pose it on top of something because
I'm guessing you don't have a stand, do you? They come with the dolls normally come with a stand.
Yeah. So my daughter said, "I'll just give you a stand."
No, these kind of stands.
And I said, yeah. So my daughter said, "I'll give you a stand," and I said, "No, because then I'll be getting INRs and stuff because the stand's not included. I don't want anything in the photos that's not included."
Yep.
So I just sat them on the ground and like they're having a picnic and arms out and the photos look pretty good and it sold in 2 hours. So I guess someone wanted that exact one. Yep. But the point being, it's a satisfying process, right? When you create the listing and you craft it and it looks really good. It's almost a little bit sad when it's sold because you're like, oh, it's gone now. it's done. I have to do more. So taking that bit of fun away, that if all you're doing is barcode scanning something and it builds everything for you, then that's it's a little bit less fun, I guess. But acknowledging that someone that's got 20,000 DVDs, there's limited fun to be had in putting in item specifics and descriptions and titles.
I took 8,000 photos of Hot Wheels cars yesterday, and I can tell you, I had a goal in mind. I wanted to get to 10K. I definitely stopped noticing detail very quickly. Like, I stopped appreciating what I was photographing. And then at one point I was just like, I'm not sure what I photographed anymore. It's just, my brain just went blank. Just kept going until and I would wake up from that trance when I felt like, I guess, a muscle cramp.
Yeah. So that yeah. I can't. You're a machine. I can't. My brain just doesn't work that way. I can't. Even if I'm doing media, I photograph about 10 at a time, and I've got my photo booth right next to my computer that I list on. So I just take 10, and I barely need to move, and it's, straight away I list those 10. Then I photograph 10, list 10, because then they're packed and they're away. It would drive me mad to have, 500 DVDs photographed but not listed.
Yep.
Which is just a brain defect from me, apparently.
Via Physically Wonders of Task. I feel like we need. So I'm still learning how to do this and do chat at the same time, and working out that balance. Vea saying she wonders of mid-task. Chris Furlong's here. Hello.
Hey, Chris.
You seem happy now the color's back. Like you seem more balanced, more calm, less irritable. Justin's here. Yes, so Justin popped in while we were talking as well. We've done a fair bit of listing already. I missed you because you're my person that does listings with me, and you count the numbers because your cards and my cars are pretty similar to list. And I did 71 with so Avalon jumped on today, and Paul jumped on as well. So we've had two kind of. This has been a really cool session. We've had two people hop on and have a chat. I'm not sure if it'll get any better than this. We might have to limit it to two. I reckon if we do two people talking, it's okay. We get listings done. If it's like 3-4 people, then it won't be a listing session anymore. In which case, then the original premise of the format goes out the window.
Yeah, the 24-hour live that Bold Finds did was really interesting. That he just published the link, and it was pretty much just join and list, and there was no real conversation. It was just 7 or 8 people in stream just doing their work. That was pretty interesting. I thought I hadn't really seen that before.
I'm not sure if we have the stamina to do a 24-hour live stream. I feel like we'd have to have some sort of fanfare around it. But then again, I mean,
yeah. No, I guess that the idea that people just joined and there wasn't a lot of discussion at all. It was just background, people joining and leaving.
Similar to that library, when you go to the library, there's a group study table. Your friends are there. You sit down, do a bit of work, have a chat. If you want to hop off, go to a class, come back.
Yeah, almost like the water cooler. Just to start, there's always a group of people around, but not the same group. The coffee machine at work.
Michelle mentioned something about eBay. Did eBay try and do an Amazon-style buy box at one time, and then after they pushed UPCs, but it seems to have died out? I'm not. Did you notice this?
It's not something I remember.
So very brief then, Michelle, clearly. Because no one picked up on it.
There's a lot of years in eBay where I had 3 items listed at a time or 0.
Yep.
Yeah, I was on eBay for years and years without any more than about 10 items listed.
Michelle, if you want to hop on another stream and tell us your story, we will more happy to have a chat. And if you want Paul to be here too, Paul will hop on as well. We can have a 3-way chat. Rachel going, my back only really lets me do 10, 20 listings at a time, so I take photos in small batches. Got it. I feel I would love to have a gaming chair type setup with a table in front of me against a background, and I'll just photograph. I would love to have that if it was comfortable, because I noticed I was moving my hands. So yesterday, because of that little experiment I did, my neck's definitely tight. I'm feeling in my traps, my shoulders. Sleep didn't help either. So I'm going to do a bit of stretching to kind of loosen it back out again. Justin's going, maybe we do a chatting live stream every week as well. So a third live stream. I will consider it.
It seems easy. It seems easy from our point of view just to join a live stream, but it's a lot of work on John's end.
I mean, the hardest thing has been the consistency, and I think that we've done it for, what is this, session 31, 32? Yeah. Definitely wouldn't mind doing a third session during the week. It's got to make the time for it. It's a lot harder with kids because they go, like the late night one, definitely twice a week was taking its toll. Daytime one, we'll see. I've lost my helper, so I'm back to one person now. So my helper got a full-time job. because I had him on 1 or 2 days a week. Call it a business decision I made, and I don't regret it, but it didn't help. So I had him on full time. The idea was to grow the business. I used the opportunity to grow the YouTube channel, to start the YouTube channel instead. Didn't realize how much work YouTube would be, but I enjoyed it. I enjoyed connecting with you guys, and so I kept doing that. Tried to also do the reselling business at a larger clip. The business grew, but not enough to cover the salary. So then essentially he moved back down to 1 day, 2 days, and then eventually he just decided to get a full-time job elsewhere. But it was kind of like I was helping a friend because his wife got a job here as a doctor, and then now that it's been 2 years, he's gone. Okay, she's settled in. I'm gonna go focus on my career now. So he's more of like a warehouse manager type guy. So this was never gonna be a full-time thing for him ongoing, anyways, unless it scaled up to that level. And so made a decision. Couldn't keep him on, so I'm back to one person. So the third live stream will be interesting. I'll see if I can figure out a format where we can chat and I can do work. Maybe it'll be like while I'm packing, we'll have a chat type vibe thing. In which case, then the mic will be on, and I will talk. But if I walk off to a shelf and continue talking, you will just know that's what's happening. Instead of like, I hear talking, but I don't see anyone on screen. Justin's got a gaming chair when I photograph. Another daytime session would be awesome. Noted. We can do a lunch break chat one of the weekdays. Yep, pack and chat. Okay, cool.
Well, you just invite one of these guys on, and they can be your guest host, and they can host it, and it'd be entertaining for 4 hours.
And then this half of the screen would just be empty for half of it.
Yeah.
But it's good. I think having a means to connect is definitely a plus. And I think knowing that you'll get the opportunity as well. And I'm definitely seeing that there's a keenness because of the regularity. Help me understand something. Why is Tuesday night so much hotter than Friday daytime?
In terms of the number of viewers.
It's not just the number of viewers. The number is not the thing I'm looking at. It's more like on Tuesday night, I feel like more people turn up with a higher energy level. Whereas or is it just the fact that it's Friday?
I don't know, but from my point of view, I know I spend the days just getting stuff done, like the mechanics of getting kids sorted, getting the house sorted, getting my packing done and delivery done. And it's only really at night time that I'm settled down and, okay, I'm going to do a bunch of listing now where there's no one around. It's quiet and I'm kind of alone in the house and I can get a lot done. So that's, for me, it kind of resonates a lot more with me at late night. But other people will be the opposite. They'll want to get stuff done during the day and kind of work more like normal business hours. But we've already established I'm weird and I do things the opposite to everyone else. But that's just from my point of view.
Various same people and they're not other jobs as well. That's true. Friday, I'm thinking about the Jack Daniels I'm going to be drinking later that afternoon. That's fair. So figuring out the format, I was thinking night times we definitely get more listings done. Daytimes seems to be more of a chatty kind of vibe because it's during the day we want to get work done and have a bit of a chat. See how else we can restructure it. Open to ideas for sure. Because more sessions isn't the answer. Although that's good. It's more sessions with what format on what time of the day, so that everybody gets an organic kind of bounce off each other kind of vibe. Whether it's the chatting energy or the listing energy, you know what I mean? Like if you insist on chatting at night when people are just wanting to get stuff done, the session doesn't work. And if you're trying to list when people want to chat, it doesn't work either. So it's that balancing act and working out what works. And there's a happy medium. Sessions have kept me more on task and kept me accountable. Good to know. Definitely aware of that effect that these sessions are having. Well, it's 1:45. Shall we call it?
Yep.
Sad to see you go. I'll cover the bill this time.
We'll meet again.
There's Paul. Everyone else,
having me on.
enjoy the rest of your afternoon. I'm going to get some packing done.
Bye, everyone.